This is a Zenith Transoceanic model 8G005. It's not the best of shape. You can see the cover has been taped up here and here, starting to wear through here. The blasting on the bottom is broken off. This is supposed to be a latch. It's supposed to have a brass piece here that this latches into, and this is supposed to be the latch release, and that's also stuck. Open it up. You can see our dial glass has basically gone useless. See if we can remove that, maybe. I'll have to get that off somehow. One of the switches has broken off here, but I do have the piece that broke off. It's just a little tab. Broke off the switch, we can glue that back on. This button is broken off, the evening button. I think that's for 49 meters, I think. The rest of them are all there. Open this up, and that's where our instructions are. This has a logbook. A list of stations. So we have for Pennsylvania. Let's see, that one's still there. That one's still there. I think that one's still there. I don't know about Pittsburgh or Butler or York, but I don't know if that one's still there though, at Philadelphia. Some more instructions and so forth. So our antenna up here, that snaps on. And in the back we have the suction cups to put the antenna. So yeah, these suction cups snap on the back of the antenna, and then you can stick the antenna on the wall if you want. And here's the cord for having the remote antenna. Here's the piece of the switch that came off, so it's just the tab on the front that I'll glue back on. Our power cord. The chassis doesn't look too bad. There's not a lot of rust on it. There's some wear here where the plug goes in, so if you want to run it off batteries, you stick the plug in that hole there, and then that switches it over to battery operation. I don't see the battery cables though, so I'm not sure what that's about. This is the antenna. That's about it, I guess, for the overview. Okay, and then so there is the shortwave antenna is supposed to snap in here. So you can see those two snaps there. That's where the shortwave loop antenna is supposed to snap in, and that is missing. So yeah. Oh well. Hopefully it'll perform just okay on this. The whip antenna. Instead of just plugging this in and going for it, I am going to take this out first, because the way that this is wired, because it's AC DC, so the filaments are wired in series. If you take a look at the schematic here, there's our 117 ZG6 rectifier right off the plug. Is there even a switch on that? There's a switch over there, I guess. Anyway, these two capacitors right here are on the filament string, so if you look, that goes up. I think it goes up anyway. Maybe not. That would have to be it. Yeah, it comes off here and goes over here to the filament. Yeah. And from that filament goes over to the next filament, and that filament goes over to... Oh, I can't be right. I must be following. That filament over to up there, Well, anyway, it's hard to follow these through all the... Especially because I'm trying to do this behind the camera. Alright, anyway, probably both of these capacitors are for filament filtering. So I want to change those first, because if you don't, I think it has a higher chance of taking out some of the tube filaments. So I want to change those capacitors first, and then we'll see about doing a power up. Alright, so I managed to get this knob off and got the cover off. I can take a look at the back side here. The speaker looks okay. Don't see any rubbing. I'll just dump everything on the floor. So one of these two, probably this one, is going to be the one that we want to replace. See, this 200, so I was reading this wrong, I don't know what I was looking at. This line goes all the way over here up into this filament, which then proceeds to the next filament, and then out this here down and over to the next filament, and so on. And this 40, not quite sure where that goes up here. So that looks like another B plus filtering, so maybe we don't have to do that one just yet. But at least this 200 I want to replace before we even power it up. Okay, so looking under the chassis here. You can see right down here we have a exploded resistor. It's basically cracked right in half and falling apart, so that's going to have to be replaced. Looking at the schematic, you can see this resistor comes right off the power tube down there. Let me see, the rectifier rather. So you can see off the rectifier we have a 68 ohm that goes into two 970 ohms, and in between the 68 and the first 970 is a 1200 ohm taken off the middle there. So you can see this comes off the power tube over to here, and this cloth wire right here goes up to this 1200 ohm resistor. So we know that this is the 68 coming off the power rectifier tube going into the first 970 here, and this will be the second 970 here. So let's see if I can find a replacement for this, and then we can get on to replacing the 200 microfarad capacitor up here. It's only 10 volts. I don't have any 200 or 220 microfarad, so I'm just going to put a 470 in there. It should be fine because there's significant resistance like here, and there should be some more actually. We'll have to see if we can find where the other resistor is, because there definitely has to be more resistance to drop it down to the 3 or 4 volts required to drive all the tube filaments. So there should be another resistor somewhere. Just not seeing it right now. Not quite sure what that's about either. Alright, anyway, first step will be replacing this, because we're not going to get anywhere without this. And I'm really not seeing where the other resistor would be. I'll have to look for it. Okay, so before I went ahead and did this, I just wanted to check all the tubes for filament continuity to make sure that everything was okay there. And when I started checking at first, I thought almost all the tubes were bad, but it turns out that almost none of the sockets are making contact with the tube filaments. So at first I tried just spraying contact cleaner and wiggling them around, and that didn't seem to help. So eventually what I did was, I got this little round file and took the tubes out and then just spun it in each of the pin contacts in the tube socket. And then I took this file and just filed on each side of the pin to make sure it was making good contact with the tube socket, and that seems to have worked. When I check from the bottom here, everything, all the tube filaments seem to have continuity now, so that should be okay. Back to this. This is supposed to be a 68 ohm. The closest I could come up with was this 50 ohm in series with a 43 ohm. So it is high. That'll be what, about 93 ohms instead of 68. We'll see if it works with this. Like I said, this is the best I can come up with what I have. So we'll see if it works with this. It might help a little bit because this is designed for 117 line volts, and now we have over 120. So we'll see how it works with this. If necessary, I can always order a part and put that in. So I'll put that in. We'll get the capacitors in, and I was looking at the schematic a little bit more carefully, and turns out I was mistaken about something. So this, well, it looks like both this and this capacitor and the 200 microfarad are involved in filament filtering. Because if you look, this 10 microfarad, this wire comes up off of here. Is that the right one? This one goes up that way. I think maybe I'm following the wrong thing. Let me double check what I'm doing. Yeah, it's this. So see, this wire right here goes over, up, over, and up to the filament. So it looks like this 10 microfarad here is also involved in the filament filtering. Let's see, this wire, this one right here after the 68 must be the actual B+, going over here and then to there, and then the power switch, and then up to everything. Yeah, it looks that way. So I'm going to see about replacing at least this capacitor as well, just to make sure that we don't have too much AC on the filament line. And this other 40 in the same can as the 200 looks like it's the main capacitor on the B+ line. So we will put that resistor in, put those two capacitors in, and then I think we'll be ready to power it up. Okay, so I replaced the little 200 microfarad with a 470, because that's all I have. That's only at like 10 volts. And when I cut the terminal off for that, it started oozing, so I figured I may as well just go ahead and replace the other one. So I replaced the 47, or it was a 40 now, it's a 47 for the B+. And the original was at 100, I think 150 volts, and the one I put in is at 450, so that's fine. This capacitor down here looks okay, so I'm going to leave that as is for now. I know I said I was going to replace where is it? That one, but it's only 10 microfarad, so most of the filtering on the filament line is going to be done by the 200, which I already replaced. So I'm going to leave these three alone for now. That's the 40 that was replaced. I got the new resistor in there. Like I said, that one should be about 93 ohms, and actually, interestingly enough, the original one here, even in this state, can you see my thing? Even in its crumbling state, actually still has a resistance of 90 ohms. So, the one we put in there is pretty close to what this busted thing is measuring now, as far as it actually still has continuity. If I had known that before I took it out, I probably would have left it in just to see what would happen. But we'll flip this down, plug it in, and see what we get. Alright, it's plugged in. I don't have any antenna on it now, so I'm not sure what, if anything, it's going to get, if it even works. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Rectifier lit up. Anyways, I think I got it working now. It seems that the problem was this right here is the headphone switch, so it's supposed to cut off the speaker when you plug headphones in, and that was not making connections. Basically, there was an open between the output transformer and the speaker, so nothing was getting through. So now if I turn this on, it's scraping from the speaker now. This is with no antenna, so I'm not sure how well it's going to work. I think we're on the broadcast band. Here's my tuning. is getting stiff. Now they're cleaning those switches. It doesn't seem like we're getting any reception. Also, it seems like my dial cord is off a little bit. I don't know what that's about. Doesn't want to tune all the way. Anyway, the good news is that by poking these and seeing that sound comes out the speaker when you wiggle these, that means that the entire radio is alive. Changes on the RF inputs are causing outputs in the speakers. So, I mean, there could be other problems, like the oscillator might not be running or something like that, but definitely a good sign. I have to go through and clean those, figure out why doesn't want to tune past that for some reason. After cleaning those switches now, I put my finger on the antenna.
And the good news is, financial support is available. Whether it...
And so Moore is now 0 for 2 of the hit by pitch as he pops up. Now Anderson, and they want him to get more work on the mound, so he was going to bat regardless for himself, no matter what Moore did, and here he is. First pitch is inside, very nearly nicked him. And I'd say take one for the team, but that one...
So, seems like that seems okay. All that I did to get this to work now was clean the tubes and tube sockets, replaced those 2 capacitors, and replaced that 1 resistor. And it works. Oh, and also clean the headphone switch. So, now that it does work, I mean with the antenna,
just to see if you can...
the antennas are still in the cabinet, so...
Try to somehow draw a walk in the at-bat.
Yeah, I think that just for peace of mind and longevity, I think I will go through and replace at least the paper capacitors. This is electrolytic though. Maybe it is getting a little bit warm. Well, we'll see about that, but there's no filter hum or anything, so this capacitor so far seems fine. But it could also be getting warm because it's right on top of where that power resistor is. It's not the best design, but anyway, it seems to work, so I guess we'll get on changing the rest of those capacitors and get it back in the cabinet, and have to glue the switch back on, but oh, does the switch even do anything? That one does. This one doesn't even seem to do anything. Not sure what that's about. Anyway, not bad. Okay, so I've replaced all the remaining capacitors. Now, as far as the switch goes, it's actually made up of 3 individual parts. Well, the 3 parts that I have anyway. There's this little ball. You can see that? Which goes in there. And there's a spring which goes on top of that. I'm not sure which way. I guess it must go this way. And then there's the switch which goes on top of that. I think it goes on. Oops. Like that. And then that is what makes the detent. So I'm going to have to glue that and then hold it in place because the spring keeps trying to want to push this off. So I have to glue it and clamp it or something to get that fixed. And once that is done, I think the chassis will be pretty much done then. So I'll show you what happens next. Alright, so the switch is glued back on. I found this as a replacement chassis bolt because there was only one chassis bolt in there. And that's why the switch broke off in the first place, because the front of the cabinet, there's only 2 bolts that hold the chassis in and one was missing. So there was only 1 bolt holding it in the back corner. So the front up here slid back and broke the switch against the front of the cabinet. So we'll be using this as our front chassis bolt to hold that in. It's plugged in. We'll do one more test before putting it back in the cabinet. It's already warmed up yet. So I'll have to clean the volume control yet too.
Wait, I said we can cruise.
Talked about and get them into a pro.
84 degrees. The Sports Corner is located at 44 East Broad Street in Metro. The Sports Corner is Metro.
So I think that's my music station. That should be at 1100. See if we can just... That looks a bit better. Alright, so let's put it back in the cabinet and see what works with the antenna. I can turn it off, maybe. There we go. Okay, this thing is completely messed up now. So these little washers with the dial glass isn't actually in.
Does he get any credit at all?
Derecho de Sabana de la Mano.
It's because Obama. Commercial carpet.
Miserably. We have spent all.
That should be up here around 90.
In road games, including 11. 11 del Tuca. Left field side, but foul.
This is breaking news for News Radio WAM 1180.
And we're now going live to Buffalo Congressman Chris
That seems right though, 1180. Okay, it looks like the other station is coming in. So my music station is actually broadcasting on a clear channel frequency, and it seems like the other station that broadcasts on that frequency, the actual powerful station, is coming riding in over that. My music station is not a clear channel station. They're just stealing the frequency from a clear channel station somewhere else in the country. So that's why they have to shut down at night. And it looks like the other station is coming in now from wherever it comes from. And of course I have to take this back out because I forgot to put that knob back in. I messed up one.
subprime and home loan demand last week. Mortgage bankers report application volume fell 3%.
That's by
to the
KYW
lowest
from
level
Philly.
since January of 2016. Request.
Not quite sure what that is.
What's happening this summer? A lot of heat.
Of when, but she's
Well, let's try something else. Let's see. This one says, of course, the one that's busted says evening. Got to put the knob back in. Afternoon and evening. But actually, here's that's in.
There's no question you need omega-3. Which form should you take? Fish
Oh, there's
oil
something there.
or krill oil?
Let's see,
Scientists
that's
have
31
debated
M's,
this for
so
years. Luckily, there's a new solution.
that'll be this inner band. It's like 9.5 to 9.7. Maybe I should put the antenna off. It says afternoon and evening. There was something there. It's not quite night yet, so the shortwave won't come in probably that much until it gets real dark. Alright, little brass rings seem to be falling off the knobs. Not much there. Let's see, this one says all day. That switch could have been cleaned better. Doesn't seem to be anything there. Only says morning. Doesn't seem to be anything there. Let's see if I can poke this one in. Maybe not. I'm not sure what I'm poking. Alright. Anyway, it does seem to work.
Or become a retailer. Visit Duke's Delights.
And then phone for Tampa Bay.
Seems like Spanish.
Mix and crude oil futures live.
Elon Musk tweets in the headlights again as regulators' eyes talk about the company going private.
Beijing slaps retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods.
President Xi Jinping wants China's top energy producers to boost oil and gas output. I'm Rashad Salamadan has the story.
New U.S. sanctions on Russia. A typhoon lashes Tokyo. Uber gets its wings cut in New York. Democrats see path to take the House. I'm Ed Baxter with Global News.
Jacob deGrom strikes out 10 batters in the Mets win over Cincy. The Yankees are visiting the White Sox while the Reds are in Toronto. Novak Djokovic reaches the third round of the Rogers Cup in Canada, but Angelique Kerber is an upset victim. I'm Donna Cage with those stories and more coming up in Bloomberg Sports.
That's all straight ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak Asia. On Bloomberg 1130 New York. Bloomberg 99.1 Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 106.1 Boston. Bloomberg 960 San Francisco. Sirius XM 119. And around the world on BloombergRadio.com and via the Bloomberg Business app.
And good morning to our audience in Hong Kong and Asia. I'm Brian Curtis in Bloomberg's Los Angeles Bureau this week.
And I'm Juliet Sally in Singapore. Bloomberg Daybreak Asia, presented by Interactive Brokers, offering direct market access to products in more than 130 markets.
Haga sus ojos en las manos de cualquiera. Llame hoy al
Algo que no me saluda, no le gusta saludar. Boca, cero para Libertad.
No confidence in Beijing.
A lot of Spanish on today. Usually there's only 1 or 2 Spanish stations.
Ready to protect themselves.
Well, anyway, it does seem to work pretty good. And so things I need to get to make this complete are a new latch, probably something to do about this. I don't know whether you just buy a whole new cover to re-put this leather cover on. It's not really leather, but whatever it is. Just a whole new cover to put on, replace this, or just get little patches or what. So yeah, the new latch, the vinyl, this button, and the dial glass. And I think that's about it. One thing I also forgot to mention is whoever worked on this before had cut the battery cables off. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to leave that as is. I'm never going to run this on batteries anyway, so I'm just going to leave that as is. This radio has had some service done to it because some of the capacitors, which you can see laying here, that I took out, were just tacked in. They weren't actually like wrapped around and soldered. They were just tacked together, almost like someone had cut them for like a test procedure and then just tacked them back in once they diagnosed the problem. So anyway, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this look at a repair of this is made from 1946 to 1949, the Zenith Transoceanic 8G005. Thank you for watching. And there goes my knob falling apart again.